first flight of the orbiter Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower.
Hail, dude. Welcome back to Health or High Water. I am Tripp Parks with the amazing Bethany Sturgis. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Oh, doing great. Just enjoying this weather while we have it. If you guys don't know, it's freezing cold in Denver in the mornings, and then it's super warm in the afternoon, so you don't know what the F to wear.
Yep, you wear 4 layers. Take them off up till noon and then put them back on as the day goes by.
Do you like bring clothes into work or whatever and then like leave in the back of your car?
Yes.
Like for like a week? Like where the hell did that go? And
Yes. I have an extra pair of scrubs in my back seat. I have an extra t-shirt, an extra jacket. Yeah, you got to do it in Colorado.
You got to do a little bit of everything with that. So
Yeah.
Bethany, thank you so much. I know Brett's not here with us right now. He didn't pass away or anything like that, but
Okay. Calm down.
no, Brett's out for today. But we have some amazing stuff to talk about. First, I want to go ahead and thank our sponsors: U vs. U Clothing, Gene Planet, Ascend Performance Training, Hyperspeed, Pelvic Harmony, Health Profiling. It's available on Amazon and Kindle, O2 Boost, and I think that's everybody. But yeah. So Bethany, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about your gut health.
Now, this is a pretty big deal for a
Yeah.
lot of people out there. I mean, do you know? I mean, like, let's just go back like 15 years real quick. Mm-hmm. This wasn't a huge deal, right?
No.
I mean,
No.
You're hearing this more and more and more and more, and we'll get into the gut-mind connection here after a while. But for those of you who don't know, I've suffered from IBS for about 12, 15 years so far. Been in and out of the hospital, doctors, you name it. I'm still kind of going through it, whatnot. But that's kind of a little bit of a context for this. Is a lot of us are going through these gut issues and food issues, environmental issues, and we're going to kind of deep dive into it.
Yeah, I feel like some people still believe that it's not really important, that it's just people like hyper focusing on one part of your body and giving it blame for all your issues, but there's so much more research coming out that proves that it's so involved in all your body functions, your immune system, everything.
Well, it's the gateway to your body.
Yeah.
Your gut, and I guess we'll go into it right now a little bit, the mind to gut connection. A lot of us, me included, when I'm stressed out, I can handle it mentally really well, but it manifests physically into my stomach, and I want to throw up. I use the bathroom more times than I probably should throughout the day, and it's miserable. It's always in pain. But you're right. I mean, it's there's so much science coming out that reassures those kind of points, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever had stomach issues at all, or?
Nothing that became chronic. No, nothing severe that I had to go see anyone for. I'm so thankful for that. Knock on wood, nothing in the future. Yeah. Yep. Have you seen a big change as you've been dealing with it from what doctors used to tell you and what they're telling you now, or is that pretty much the same?
That's a really good question, to be honest. So when I first started going through this, I guess it was, high school through college was kind of back and forth. I was drinking a lot during that time, so I didn't know what my stomach felt like anyway.
Yeah.
But the first real doctor I went to in college didn't really have a good explanation for it.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, well, it could be this, it could be that. You should change your diet here. Try the elimination diet first. Mm-hmm. And it's like, all right, well, let me remove everything from my diet as a poor college kid.
Yeah.
And then try to reintroduce all these healthy things, which I can't afford anyway. Mm-hmm. And then try it that way. And then it just continued persistently, got worse and worse. And then I was in the hospital. Then they were telling me, one thing after the other about, well, go ahead and try it. What about your environment? What about this? And it never really, I never had a really good answer, which made it more frustrating.
Yeah.
But it also brought me down the path of researching my own shit for it. Mm-hmm. What can I do for it if the doctors aren't going to do anything about this? What am I going to do? And I finally met this doctor, Dr. Browning. He's got a clinic up in Northern Virginia.
Oh, nice.
He does chiropractic work, those kind of things, and he was the first one that I really talked to about holistically trying to heal it. Mm-hmm. Right? Hey, Tripp, let's get off the prescription medications. Let's go ahead and try a good sort. Let's get your blood work done. Find out exactly what you need for that. And it started to get a little better. And then once I started doing research down the road with that, after that, I started listening to the gut to mind connection. Mm-hmm. What's going on with that? Can your brain actually tell your stomach to hurt or vice versa? And the more, like you said, the more research coming out about this kind of things, the more it's true.
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, I had contradictory answers from every single doctor I went to all the time.
That's so annoying. Would you tell people if they're struggling with it, like, to go do blood work first? Do you feel like that's a good first option?
I think anything quantitative that you can do with that, right? Like brain scans, getting an endoscopy, those kind of things. Like, find out exactly what's going on, because like I had an endoscopy once, and like they're like, let's find out what's going on in your stomach. And the doctor said before I went under, so like, I guarantee I'm not going to find anything at all.
Well, thanks, Doc.
It's like, yeah, great. So I'm getting a camera stuck up me for no reason at all.
Right. Can I back out now?
Yeah. I don't like the look of that camera, Doc.
Yeah.
But actually found out I had some ulcers going on in there.
Oh.
That were pretty bad. So like, I guess understanding what's going on first. But for a lot of people though, like, they can't afford this kind of test. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could barely afford it because my parents were helping me. Right. But you know, a lot of people can't afford those things. So you know, unfortunately, start with the elimination diet first. Figure out if it's food based. Mm-hmm. You know, and again, this is all depends on if you got good insurance. Go to the doctor and just get every test known to man.
Right. Yeah.
You know, get the full gambit. But if this has been chronic, get some quantitative, and stop trusting like other people on this. Mm-hmm. You know, stop trusting the internet. Well, this is definitely what's wrong with my gut.
Right.
It's a lot of it is just like life and trying to learn how to manage, right? Especially if it's chronic. If it's not chronic, it's a little different though.
Yeah. Don't fall for the Instagram ads.
No.
This will fix all your problems for $10.
Just do keto, you'll be fine.
Right. That's what they all say.
But do you see a lot of stomach issues with your clients?
Yeah, with pelvic health, there is a pretty high occurrence of IBS involved. So we address diet in general, hormones, when you're eating, what you're eating, all of that, all of those things that can play into your pelvic health and your bowel health and your bowel movement, bladder health. So it's definitely a factor that I look into with clients, even if it isn't causing symptoms that they want addressed. We still go over all their history and their habits and daily routines, and just to make sure they're on a good basis. So
like when you're talking to your clients about these kind of things, like what are things you're seeing are working, like recommendations are working, or what's something that might be a traditional idea of what would work and it's not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some of it is just the common stuff of like drinking more water and like put off your coffee a couple hours. Mm-hmm. That can irritate the bladder pretty early in the morning. Avoid too much alcohol, caffeine. That can cause issues with your stomach, especially if you're on an empty stomach. Don't drink your coffee on an empty stomach. Some misconceptions I've seen, I think it just comes into all the fad diets as well. They're like, oh, someone told me to do keto and that would help, and it's not helping, so can you help me? Yeah.
It's like that extremism idea, right? Mm-hmm. Do one or the other, extreme. And I think what I'm hearing, and for both of us, is it's not, number one, it's not a one-size-fit-all. You don't know what's going on per individual. And number two is it could be a combination of tons of different things. And it usually is.
Yeah.
All right, so you have people coming in. Now, I'm also just kind of spitballing here too, is like, there must or might be also a representation between like muscular health, skeletal health, and their gut too, right? And I do think, because if we don't have enough good, for everyone listening, you have good and bad microbiomes or good and bad bacteria in your stomach and your mouth, and that can directly dictate how you absorb food properly, how you use the food, how it's going through your digestive tract. And if you have too much bad, you're not actually getting the nutrients you need. You're not digesting things properly. So it's a factor of all these different things too. But when you're kind of breaking it down, you think about like, oh, I'm taking vitamin D, I'm eating quinoa, I'm doing this and that. But if your gut is all messed up, then you're not getting what you need out of those foods anyway. Right? So when you're breaking down nutrition for your clients and whatnot, so what are some things that are working for you? Like, hey, like, you're eating like a lot of rice. Like you said, water was really good. What are some things that you recommend for your clients as you're going through this? Yeah.
Definitely always prioritizing their protein. I do like to recommend their complex carbs over the simple carbs. So your sweet potatoes, your quinoa, all the vegetables in the world. Eat all of them. Lots of water. Yeah, just staying away from all the starchy, high sugar, etc.
That sugar will kill your gut microbiome.
Yeah.
It will kill it. Mm-hmm. As well as antibiotics.
Yeah.
Those are terrible for it.
Yeah.
Do you take any pre or probiotics yourself?
I haven't in a while. The last probiotic I took was after I believe I had a stomach ulcer. No one diagnosed it. I think it was mainly stress induced. It was like a year and a half ago. So I was taking probiotic after that to help re-regulate everything. But I don't take anything regularly, but I do try to eat a good bit of yogurt for all of those benefits.
That's always good. For you guys listening, like yogurt, overnight oats.
Yeah.
Kombucha, right?
Kombucha, yeah.
Kombucha is really good for your gut microbiome. Staying away from sugary food, staying away from alcohol, staying away from pretty much anything processed, really. Mm-hmm. Processed foods kills it. The simple carbohydrates kill it too.
Yeah. Do you take anything regularly?
Back when I was a supplement horse and I had some money, I was taking probiotics. I was taking some other gut health meds. One of the things that really helped me out, and this is going to be a little bit controversial for everyone listening, but when I was taking care of Mom, I got on a product called ibuprofen. Mm-hmm. It's labeled under peptides, but it's really like a SARM or prohormone. Yeah. And it helps release something called ghrelin. And ghrelin's what makes your stomach go that noise. It's ghrelin. And it helps release ghrelin, which makes you more hungry. So I hate eating. Like you've seen me, I eat slower than molasses.
Like one time all day I'll see you eat something.
Yeah. And that's because my stomach's not producing enough ghrelin because I think my brain is telling my stomach not to eat because I'm in fight or flight mode all the time. Just always going through that. So when I was on this ibuprofen, it really helped me out because not only did it curb that appetite suppression, but it actually made me hungry. So it was absolutely awesome with that. I mean, it's kind of expensive and it's a little, I guess, not researched as much as other, stomach medications, other probiotics. But for people listening that's having stomach issues, keeping weight on, it's honestly, it's a great medicine that I took, and I cannot wait to get back on that shit.
Yeah, because if you can just get the cue to eat and the physical reaction of your body telling you, listen, whatever you're doing right now needs to pause because I'm hungry.
Yeah, and you need to eat,
Yeah,
that's
the fuel.
Exactly. And then you get in this rhythm. Like if I don't eat at the right time in the morning, my whole day gets screwed.
Really?
Like I'll if I don't eat till 9, I'll be dry heaving all morning. I'll be using the bathroom, what have you, and then I don't want to eat. And then next thing you know, the rest of the day, my energy level's all low. I'm all pissed off, and I can't explain I can't tell everybody listen, my stomach hurts. I can't work. It's no, you gotta push through that, and you have this terrible attitude. It's just it's a hell loop, and everyone's like, well, just go ahead and eat. It's that's not. I can't.
What are some things that you wish people did or didn't say when you were struggling with it? For anyone who has a friend who's going through it, it's not really encouraging to say, sorry. What?
Sucks to suck.
What has helped? Or what do you want to hear from people? Because we want to be encouraging, but we don't want to,
I think for me, one of the, I guess, the worst things to do is to make fun of it. Yeah. Right? To poke fun at it. I can take a joke any day, but if I'm struggling in the moment, especially with those kind of things, it sucks. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you and Brett have been super supportive, been really good about it. There's not much, not much you can do. Yeah. Bringing attention to it kind of sucks sometimes. Mm-hmm. When I'm trying to eat or whatever, and I'm like, hey, everything okay? It's well, no, I'm just having stomach issues. But for everyone that's going through this right now, I'm sure that they have different trigger points for that. Yeah. For some people, bringing it up is awful. Mm-hmm. Right? It's the worst thing you can do. For other people, they want you to bring it up because they want to feel reassured. Mm-hmm. So for me, it might be different than somebody else, but it's you guys have been super supportive. When I do have to, for you guys listening, I do smoke pot for my stomach, and when I do have something bad, you and Brett, dude, go smoke, man. Go get your shit straight. Yeah. But I guess just for me, I guess the best thing is just to be positive. Mm-hmm. for especially for everyone listening too, like if you're going through this and friends are poking fun at you, it's not making anything better. It's causing that fight or flight to go higher.
Yeah. And just tell people if they're saying something that's bothering you, or if you need more encouragement, like just verbalize that, No,
exactly. Communication's everything with this, right? And for those going through like these gut issues too, it doesn't have to be IBS. It could be IBD or whatever you name it, ulcers, what have you. You have to communicate with your peers and everybody else what's going on, whether they accept it or not. Some people don't accept that as pain, or I'm not sure what the right word.
They're like, oh, you're being a wimp. Just so rude.
Yeah, for me, it's almost like you've had tooth pain before, right?
Yeah.
It's awful.
Ugh. Horrible.
You don't want to eat.
Yeah.
You kind of feel a little sick, you know what I mean? Like it affects everything because it's all next to all your nerves and everything. And that's kind of how I equate it to. It's like a constant tooth pain, a toothache in your stomach.
Yeah.
So like I understand what tooth pain feels like, and for those listening, like if you had a stomach pain, like tooth pain is kind of the closest second I can put up to it. It's just nagging, stays there the entire time. Like I don't know where I was going with that.
To help people understand who haven't been through it, generally what you can imagine it feels like.
Imagine a tiny little elf in your stomach that's just punching everything.
Oh, that's horrible. Punching bag.
Instead of elf on a shelf, elf in the stomach.
Elf in the stomach.
But there's also the mental aspect, right? Do you have ADHD? Do you have anxiety, depression, those kind of things? Because they can directly correlate with that too. I mean, you have two responses when you're upset, right? You could either close yourself off. It means to close yourself off. You don't want to eat, or the opposite is you use food as your
comfort.
Yes, use your comfort. And I think that a lot of people understand that using as a comfort, and they can't understand the other aspect, right? The one that you can't eat, you don't eat. And I have so many people that are like, why can't you eat? It's like, I don't get it. It's like, well, you don't have the same issues as I do.
Yeah.
Like, of course you're not going to understand.
You don't have to get it to, try to understand.
I understand Santa Claus. I understand he's not real, but I don't have to like make him feel real to make my idea of him real.
Yeah.
But that is what it is, and I do think that the mentality aspect, or having a therapist or someone you can talk to, friends, family, about those things, because a lot of those the times your gut to mind connection goes off and you have this fight or flight response, it's an external factor. Did you get cut off in traffic? Did someone yell at you at work? Did you miss a deadline? Did you miss a meeting? Those kind of things, and that can trigger it immediately. So I think understanding proper breath work, and that's something that I've had to do, is understand like sometimes I'll just not breathe and get red as a top, And that's one aspect too, is like, if it's not the food, it's not those other things, environmental factors, what's going on in your brain. Are you a high stress person? Do you have other things going on, and is something like that, is something triggering it externally or even internally, I guess,
Yeah, I was going to ask if you had any in the moment strategies or mental cues to help yourself kind of re-regulate to out of the fight or flight. For 100%. People.
100%. So what the first thing you have to do is accept that you have that problem, right? That's the first thing. It's like, all right, listen, I have no control over my anxiety. I have no control over my fight or flight response, and understanding that it's just a genetic component of what makes you human, right? Some of us have elevated, some of us have de-elevated levels of those kind of things. Sometimes like you have that one friend that you see someone get hit by a car and they have no emotion, you're like, what?
You're like, wait, look.
Did you see that too? Yeah.
Yeah.
You got hit by a car, so whatever.
It happens.
Yeah, it's like for some of us, it's that's elevated. So understanding that's the problem is number one, and number two is like, I try to do breath work. Like I'll take one deep breath before anything. Like, all right, let's situate. Is this really something you have to worry about? Can you calm down from it? I'll do box breathing. So like 5 breaths in, hold, 5 breaths out, hold, and I just keep repeating that over and over and over and over again. As well as and this might sound stupid, but I do a mantra in my head where I say I tell myself that that I'm happy and everything's okay, and I say that over and over while I'm breathing, over and over and I'm breathing, and typically I can get myself out of funk. Typically,
yeah,
Unless you're parked next to me on the road, and I'm sitting there like breathing. Oh, everything's okay.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Probably look like a loon.
With your hazards on.
Just on the fast lane of the highway.
Yeah. No, don't be that guy.
Got the arms out of the car.
Oh, man. Yeah, it is crazy sometimes how you have to tell yourself mentally something you don't believe until you believe it.
It's so weird.
Yeah, but it works.
Well, maybe that's a good kind of transition point here to talk about that voice in our head, right? Because it directly does correlate with how we feel,
Right.
with situations, with our emotions, with everything. So like, we all have. And I call that voice in my head the bad one, Satan. I just try to demonize it right away because I know it's not real. What do you do when you maybe get anxious, maybe you feel a little overwhelmed? Like, how do you quiet those voices? How do you come back into the fold?
Yeah, I do some breathing also. And then I go back to telling myself things that I know are true. So however that relates to what I'm struggling with in the moment, I'll go to facts that I know are true and facts that never change and kind of ground myself in those. And it helps me come back down to reality and truth. And
So you're talking like, I see a white brick wall. I'm going to focus on that for a little while. Is that kind of the grounding you're talking about?
kind of like if I'm feeling really anxious in like a social environment or family or work or what have you, I go back to the truths of I am doing the best I can, things like that. I am here for a reason. I have a job to do.
It's like more in the moment kind of stuff.
Yes, yeah. And
like-
it's almost like reassuring yourself that everything's fine, like you were saying. And coming back to what I expect of myself, what others expect of me, and realigning that with what I know to be true versus what that voice in my head is trying to convince me of.
So I like you said expectations there too. Expectations. So like what we expect of ourselves is a lot different than what other people expect of us.
Yeah.
Right? Do you ever have a hard time with, expectations on yourself versus external expectations?
Yeah. Both ways, though. Out of balance, where mine are very high and I think others are lower, or vice versa. And yeah, I've definitely had it both ways, where one is higher and one is lower, and I have to rebalance accordingly.
I had a really good question. It just slipped my mind too. Shit. Damn, that was a really good question too. All right, so we're getting expectations. So how do you balance those out then? Like let's say your external expectations are really high, like say your boss was on top of you really hard, and then like your your self expectations were a little low. It's like, well, maybe you didn't get a lot what you need to get done at home, but you weren't hard on yourself. And then there's that unbalance. How do you balance yourself back out, or how have you?
If I have a boss who's being really strict and having very high expectations, I will, in each moment throughout the day, just tell myself that I am doing the best I can. And it's making sure that that's not just nice talk to myself, but that I am actually doing every single thing that I can. And putting any of his frustration on him if he's not happy with the job that I've done, or if we need to clear up a miscommunication, we can do that. But just having peace in knowing that I've done everything I can.
I remember the question now.
Okay.
So when you have these situations, these expectations, these overwhelming ideas and those kind of things, like let's say you're about to speak in front of a whole bunch of people, or you had a group project that you're presenting and you're scared or you're a little nervous about. Have they ever affected like the way you eat, work out, sleep schedules? Have those ever like had an effect on you physically as coming from a mental aspect?
Yeah, I think the sleep and the eating. When I'm really nervous, if it's public speaking, yeah, I'll be like a little nauseous beforehand, not hungry, don't want to eat or drink anything. So not eating beforehand, maybe not even after either. And the sleep, just being anxious up to that event or what have you. Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of what I wanted. Everyone has those, right? Everyone has those situations. Some people are really great at public speaking. Some people are really aren't great at it. but we all have those emotional or I guess emotion's the right one. Emotions or mentality that can affect us physically, and we don't always understand that. And that's the way that gut health is, right?
Yeah.
Mentality has a direct correlation with those kind of things. I mean, your mind is strong enough to what is the right word for it? I mean, your body's I don't know what I'm trying to say here.
Influence?
Yes.
Yeah.
Your body's a direct influence on these kind of things, right? And like mentality is so important because if we're not in the right mindset, then our body's not going to function the right way no matter what. So just for those like listening, like that's a really good explanation or a good example of like how mentality can affect us physically, and we don't even realize it. It's the same thing too. Like so we have like those C-reactive proteins or the inflammation genes in our body that like some people have a very high predeposition for, right? So if they get cut off in traffic, someone yells at them, right? Their C-reactive protein or inflammation goes skyrocketing through. Now that typically happened back in the day, like when you had like a bear scratch you across the stomach, you're starting to bleed out. Like of course you want everything to inflame so you don't die, but we don't have those. We don't have those, die or survive situations anymore.
Right.
Our bodies are desensitized to a certain aspect, and now things like getting cut off on the road, someone yelling at you does affect you that way, and that mentality affects you physically. And it's happening all the time, and people don't understand it. Like people with inflammation issues, which is huge nowadays, right?
Yeah, it's everywhere.
You can't get around it. You can't get around health or wellness or even doctor's office without someone talking about inflammation somewhere.
Yep.
Even inflamed stomachs, like that's.
Yeah.
It's huge. I think that's where ulcers start, is an inflamed stomach, poor gut microbiome, and then
Kaput.
ulcer. No more
Ulcer.
ketchup.
No more anything.
Yeah, you know how that diet was, the ulcer diet?
What?
Did you not have to do the ulcer diet?
No. Oh, when I had one?
Yeah.
Maybe I did, and I just didn't know it.
Damn, because like they got rid of all the fun foods. All the fun foods. I couldn't have ketchup anymore. Ice cream was off the table. I wasn't eating a lot of it
Really?
anyway, but
Yeah.
maybe wanted more though. It's like, what do you mean I can't have it?
What do you mean?
What do you mean I can't have it? I want it really bad. Well,
Yeah.
I think this is a really good place to end off right now. Bethany, thank you so much as always. Make sure you guys are going to go check her out at pelvicharmony.co, right?
pelvicharmonyco.com.
.com. She's doing some really amazing stuff down here. We're getting her involved with the comprehensive wellness profile, which we do for our clients. She's going to be doing kind of the recovery aspect of that, working with us there. Really excited to have her on. And again, she's full-time now for the podcast. She is the official co-host.
Yeah.
So make sure you guys go checking her out. Make sure you guys are also going to ascendperformancetraining.com. I just wrote a pretty awesome blog.
Yeah, you did.
Thank you. Appreciate. But yeah, guys, go check that out. We have we had a podcast that is released as we're recording this today for Anton of Hyperspeed AI. Really good listen. If you guys haven't listened to that, go check that out. Got some amazing new things coming up here this next week. This new partnership with Hyperspeed AI is going to be awesome. Yeah, I think that's. Any last words, Bethany?
I'm excited to see where everything goes. That's it.
Yeah, I'm down with the ship.
Yeah.
Peace.
Peace.